Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
What? The bullpen actually made it work? The bullpen actually helped the team? The bullpen actually helped win the game? And it did get close. Okay, I was holding my breath there late when Hector Neris was on the mound and Voit put a bomb up the right center field. And I went, oh, but reality is they finished the job. And I made this point after that loss in the doubleheader to the Yankees yesterday. I made a point that even bad bullpens find a way to win a game once in a blue moon, and this once in a blue moon happened to be this baseball game. So, look, they split the series 2-2. I'm totally satisfied. It just stings a little bit because they had the opportunity to maybe grab 3 of 4, and that would have been so sweet. But I can't be greedy in this scenario. 2-2 against the Yankees. Okay, you know what? Let's move on to the Atlanta Braves, and let's see if they can find some sort of groove from here, because we all remember that they were put on pause for quite some time after that Miami Marlins series, so it was a little bit wonky. Now it seems like, okay, they got to play a couple baseball games in a row. Maybe that gets them going, and it allows the hitters to get into some sort of rhythm. It allows the pitchers to start getting some flow in their rotation as well. So we move on to Atlanta. But a lot to talk about in this 5-4 win. Zach Eflin, JT Realmuto, the bullpen. Phil Gosselin, baby, he does it again. A lot to get into. But before we do, this episode of Sports Talk with Broads is sponsored by Orbit Energy and Power. Their solar program helps eliminate your electric bill completely. There's no risk and no need for investment. They also provide water purification systems, backup energy services, battery storage, tree removals, new roofing, and more. Visit them online. Their information is in the description. So Zach Eflin, prior to the game, we were informed that he was going to have a small pitch count because, well, this is his first real action when it comes to being on the bump, and that's totally reasonable. He goes 4 innings with 77 pitches, and his fastball command, no doubt, was excellent. That's what drove him in this baseball game. That was what gave him the confidence. It was all about that fastball command, and it was excellent, without a doubt. He realistically probably could have gave you another inning if there wasn't an error in that second inning with Scott Kingery. Now, Zach Eflin did play a role in that because as he was throwing at the second base, it wasn't his best throw by any means, but I still thought that Scott Kingery was in good enough position to make the catch. It was almost as if he was anticipating the double play so much that his mind already started to go to the double play before he made sure he had the baseball at second base, and that costed the Phils because, well, JT Realmuto in the bottom of the first hits a big bomb off Monty to give the Phillies the 3-0 lead, and then you have in that second inning an error, and then boom, there goes the Yankees. I mean, you can't make those type of mistakes against a team like this. This team is too good. You make a mistake, they are going to make you pay. They are going to score a run. So you need to make sure that you are focused and mentally prepared to make the proper play because you saw it. Boom. Just like that, it's a close baseball game again, and it's 3-2. Now, in the top of the third, after JT Realmuto is out there busting his ass, beating out an infield play, and you also had Bryce Harper before that getting on base, you have Phil Gosselin doing it again. I mean, how does this guy continue to do it? He knocks in both of them. He gets a double. He's able to produce. This guy does it all. He was batting 5th. He literally was batting 5th. Andrew McCutchen, Rhys Hoskins, Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto, Phil Gosselin. I mean, it's almost laughable, but it makes sense. The guy is hitting everything right now, and what he's able to do at the plate, it's magnificent, and he's thriving. Keep him in there when you get the matchup that you like. Keep him in there, baby, because he's the one that's getting the ball in play. It's just crazy. I can't believe it. Phil Gosselin was the 5-hole hitter in this game, and it made sense. It made sense. It's not crazy. That's how funny this really is to me, but I'm all for it. I'm all for this magical ride. The guy is locked and loaded at the moment. Let's keep this bad boy going. So the Phillies are up 5-2. From there, you have a little bit of some defense happening with JT. So He had the 3-run bomb. He's beating out infield singles. And not only that, how about a strike him out, throw him out? Why would you run on JT Realmuto? We've been through this before. Last season, there were so many guys that thought, I'm going to do this. Why? Why would you try and run on someone like JT Realmuto? You're going to get canned. You're going to get gunned out. You don't stand a damn chance. And that throw, the pop time, the throw down, the tag by Scott Kingery, he barely had to move his glove. It was simply right where it needed to be. Boom! So he did it all in this game. And then you can hear the people outside of Citizens Bank Park saying, "Sign JT! Sign JT." Not only that, you had the people blowing the big horns, and Aaron Boone came out and was getting all pissed off because they were doing it while the Yankees were up to bat. And I kind of thought, wow, that is hilarious. I wonder how many towns or how many cities around baseball have fans to the point where they're going to do something so obnoxious while the other team is at bat. How can you stop them from doing it? How can you tell them they're not allowed to do it? They're outside the concourse, right? I mean, they're outside the stadium. If they're just doing it, they're just doing it. But leave it to Philadelphia to have that type of moment, right? Leave it for Phillies fans to do something like that. I thought that was great. This is where it starts to get a little bit dicey. Top 7, Nick Pavetta's in the mound. So Guerra came in the game first. He had 1 inning of play, and he did his job. After that, Nick Pivetta came in. Nick Pivetta came in for 2 innings. And I'll be honest with you. You know me, not a huge Nick Pivetta fan. I don't really appreciate what he has done to this point. And when he was in the bullpen, I thought he had some nice pitches out there. I thought he had some really nice sequences. He had a couple 12-6 curveballs where I thought, holy hell, man, if you can do that consistently, now we're talking. I'm done with it, though. I'm not saying that, let's give him some chances to do this in the starting lineup because we see the skill set. No, we've been doing that for way too long. But in terms of bullpen play, it's so abysmal, it's so awful. I don't think I mind Nick Pivetta in the bullpen. I have more trust in him than some other guys. The problem is, though, he did leave one for Gary Sanchez to take on a ride for a 2-run shot. So he did make that one pitch that got rocked, and that's been a problem with him, right? I mean, there have been pitches he laid out there for other guys to literally destroy out of the ballpark, so that has been an issue. But other than that one pitch, I thought he was strong. The problem is that one pitch did happen, and Gary Sanchez made it a 5-4 game, which at the end of the day, you can't happen, right? You can't have your bullpen guys coming in and allowing 2-run shots. Your job is to shut them down. So I do think to an extent Nick Pivetta might have a role in this bullpen by default, essentially. It's just because everybody else is such a nightmare that he might have an opportunity. But I did see some things. Maybe it's more of a 1 inning of work type deal that I'll like out of Nick Pivetta. He went 2 in this one. Maybe it's more of a 1 inning kind of thing. We'll see. But he did have some things, and if you compare it to what else is back there, I mean, come on. You can't say that it's much worse. At least he has some experience in the league. Bottom 7. This ticked me off a bit. Now, I know Roman Quinn is a speed guy. And with some of these players, you're going to get some chances, right? And some of these chances are going to result in failure. And other times, it's going to be beautiful. He's going to steal second base. He's going to get in scoring position. He's going to get a triple. I mean, the speed is just awesome. But he gets picked off in the bottom of the 7th inning in a 5-4 game at first base, leaning a little bit. He froze. He got picked off at first by a right-handed pitcher. After that, Andrew McCutchen, it's a double. I mean, with Roman Quinn's speed, that's a no-brainer run, and at that point, it could have been 6-4. That could have been a crucial game-changing run, and he got picked off at first base. Now, when you have a player with a special ability, you take the positives with the negatives. Sometimes the positive hurts. You can use this in any sport, right? In all sports, in any sport, there's players that are super aggressive, and sometimes those super aggressive plays that they take the chances on, it's beneficial, but sometimes it doesn't work. But does the beneficial plays outweigh the negative plays? Well, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Some players have a little bit more veteran behind them to the point where it's like, okay, you can get by with that because you're a veteran. Other guys are younger with not as much experience in the league, not as much support in their work, in their total work when you look at everything they've done in that league to that point. With Roman Quinn, I don't think it's reasonable at all to say that you should be getting picked off in that situation. So I'm a little bummed with Roman Quinn. But once again, you see his speed, and you see that it can be a difference maker. I like Adam Hasty more at the plate. I think he takes a really professional approach to the plate, and I think that he's a better all-around player at the plate than Roman Quinn. The difference is, though, how can you look at that speed and say, that's not in the lineup? His speed makes up for everything else. His speed is just way too lethal. So you have to keep him in there. You do. I'm sorry, you do. I like Hasty more at the plate. But Roman Quinn, he is just on another level when it comes to what he can do running the bases, and he is a weapon to have. You have to utilize it. Alvarez came in the 8th inning. He went 2/3. Hector Neris came in for a 4-out save opportunity. With Aaron Judge at the plate, this was a pinch hit situation because LeMahieu and Judge not in the game, which is a big-time difference for this lineup, right? You add those two in the lineup, and it's a totally different threat. The lineup's still great, don't get me wrong. They still have fantastic hitters without them, don't get me wrong. That's what makes them so deep. That is what makes them so powerful. But with that pinch hitting opportunity, I'm thinking, all right, do you intentionally walk him? Stanton was on third base at the time. So you have a man on third, 2 outs, Aaron Judge up, pinch hitting. Hector Neris on the bump. I don't know if I have the balls to pitch to him. Here's the thing I thought about, though. Urshela is behind him. So it's not like you have some nobody scrub behind Aaron Judge in that moment. You intentionally walk Aaron Judge and you have a really hot hitter up at the dish. So, pick and choose here. But I'll be honest with you. If I'm choosing, I'm still walking Aaron Judge. But Hector Neris shut me the hell up. He did his thing. He got him going. The splitter was working. And Aaron Judge, bang, sit down, buddy. Go sit down. Wrung him out. How about that? And then Neris in the 9th was able to do the same thing, get out of it. Had a couple men on, 2 outs, got a little nerve-wracking. You watch the fly ball to deep right center field, goes to the warning track. Ooh, you start to cringe. You heard the pop of the bat, but able to do it. Let's go. What a big victory for this Phillies team. The thing is, obviously, this bullpen is still a mess. It's still a problem. But you end up 3-4. I was afraid that they would get swept. I said I'd be cool with 1 win because I thought that was reality when you're going up against a team like that. Any day of the week, I will be satisfied with the split here. I just go back to Game 2 of the doubleheader when Aaron Nola was on the mound, and things fell apart way too quickly. And in that moment, when you have those players on there, on the mound, like Aaron Nola, who gives you 12 strikeouts in 6 innings, you got to make the most of those opportunities. Good teams do that. I guess it's fair to question, is this a good team, though? And I think that is where the conversation goes. Because if you don't think they're a good team, well, then it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense for these chances to be there and them not really take advantage of them. Because that's what just average teams do. And if you look over the last couple years, for the most part, they're just an average baseball team. And you can argue now that their pitching staff is even worse. Bullpen, that is. Let's talk about Zach Eflin a little bit more because, Zach Eflin had great moments last year. You're talking complete games. And that just doesn't happen in the year 2020 anymore. You just don't get complete games like that because of the pitch counts, because of the way the managers manage, because of analytics. You saw that with Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola already. It's hard to do that. Zach Eflin was doing that last year. Then he went through a really bad spiral downwards. And then by the end of the season, he found a way to get back on track. I think Zach Eflin can definitely be a starter in this league. And if he's your 5th, 4th type of starter, okay, that's fine. No doubt. Like, if Zach Eflin is your fourth, fifth type of starter, he can totally live in that spot in a rotation without a doubt. Your fourth, fifth starters are not going to be Nola, Zach Wheeler type players. It's an Eflin type player. And I think that he can totally take that role and be that type of pitcher. He has the opportunity sitting in front of him to be a good pitcher in this rotation. He just needs to consistently execute like he did in this game. The off-speed was working. I mean, there's no doubt that he had good movement with his pitches. He had good command with his pitches, but it all started with that fastball. That fastball allowed for him to use some of his secondary pitches, and he was able to pop them where he wanted to as well. He finished with 5 strikeouts, allowed 4 hits, and only walked 1 in 4 innings. And as I stated, 77 pitches. He would have clearly been able to go longer if there wasn't the error by Scott Kingery, and he would have clearly been able to go longer if this wasn't his first outing of the season. The only other game that he pitched was like a simulated game before the actual season started. And remember, he's coming off of an injury. He had an injury that he really needed to work through before he was even able to get to this point. So if this is, a rusty Zach Eflin coming off of an injury and not having any real start so far, I'm very intrigued by Zach Eflin. I think his ceiling is one hell of a pitcher. It's just, can he be pitching at the level close to his ceiling more times than not? And that we won't really know until we see him continue to pitch. And hopefully someone like Brian Price can be the difference in someone like Zach Eflin. Because if you remember last year, the whole conversation about the pitching coach and not listening to what he was saying, because there was a time where they really loved that high-rising fastball, and realistically, that wasn't the best thing for someone like Zach Eflin. And when he started to change his philosophy, he became more of a efficient pitcher. JT, unreal game by him. Andrew McCutchen, he's got a couple infield hits to this point, and then he had the double. So, and that wasn't just this game. I'm talking since the season started. Couple infield singles, the double. Really slow start for Andrew McCutchen, and I do think that he needs to figure it out. And here's the thing with someone like Andrew McCutchen, veteran player, been around for a long time. Clearly was at the top of the league at one point, MVP type player. If someone like Andrew McCutchen is struggling, you give them the benefit of the doubt. You say, hey man, you've been around, you're a strong player, you know the game, IQ is up there with the rest of them. You'll figure it out. You give him the chance. But at some point, I think you need to draw the line. At some point, it's, hey, you gotta produce. But for right now, you give him as much time that you feel you need to before you pull him out of that spot or move him around or do something else. Hopefully, you get a couple hits. Hopefully, that's the difference. He did have a scorching shot off the bat. It was a line drive right to shortstop, and they made a beautiful play. So for every time that happens, he ends up getting an infield single. It sort of plays out, right? The average plays out a bit. You should have got the single on the beautiful stroke of the bat that got caught by the line drive, but you end up getting an infield single. It pays off and it evens itself out. I just think that, McCutchen to this point hasn't been very strong. He put together a couple hits in this one. Hopefully he could build off that. Rhys Hoskins, 0 for 3. Yes, he had a walk. Yes, that walk ended up actually coming in from JT Realmuto's home run, but come on, there's no way you can consistently watch Rhys Hoskins at this point and say, this kid is something that I can't wait to continue to watch. There is an issue here. He doesn't know what he's doing when he's stepping up in the plate. He doesn't know. He does not know. He's overthinking. I don't even want to know. If I could see what was happening in his brain, I don't think that I would want to know what is happening in his brain. Same with Scott Kingery. Underwhelmed is an understatement when it comes to what Scott Kingery has done at the plate so far this season. Come on, Scott. There were times last year where he was rocking the ball out of the ballpark and going crazy. Like, hey, look at Scotty. What's happening? No Gene Segura in the lineup. And maybe it has to do with the fact that, they were put on pause for so long. You can't just pretend that wasn't a real thing. Sure, it's a real thing. And that only makes this split even that much better. I mean, you don't play baseball for how long? And then you play the New York Yankees, the hottest team in baseball, and you find a way to win 2? I think that's great. And oh, by the way, you faced Garrett Cole in one of those games. Right? So I think it's great that they did that. And maybe that's the reason why some of these guys are being what they are right now. McCutchen, Kingery. I think Reese is lost to begin with. I don't even think Reese Hoskins would have known what to do with himself, even if the season started normally and none of this COVID stuff happened. I still think Reese Hoskins would be at the bottom, not understanding what he's doing in terms of, at the bottom, numbers-wise, statistic-wise. But he's still sitting in that 2-hole because he finds ways to walk. I'll continue to say it over and over and over again. I think he's doing himself a disservice being that type of player. Can't wait to see this team play again and play against the Atlanta Braves. Oh, I hate that team. I hate that team. In reality, as a baseball fan, I love watching them. Fun as hell. Great lineup. Ronald Acuna Jr., Freddie Freeman. I love Freddie Freeman. I think that he is so underrated. So I do appreciate them as a baseball fan, but as a Phillies fan, I hate them. I can't stand their jerseys. I can't stand them. And let's see if the Phillies can make some noise. We got to catch up to the stinking Miami Marlins up at the top. 3-4. Based off of what you've seen so far, 3-4, I'll tell you what, it should be a lot worse. So let's take it for what it is, and let's move on to the next game. Thank you all so much for listening. Remember that this episode is sponsored by Orbit Energy and Power. They offer flexible financing solutions such as $0 down. They will make sure you receive all the state and federal incentives available for switching to solar energy. Make sure you check out their information. It is in the description. 3-4, baby. Phil Gosselin, JT. Will we see Spencer Howard this weekend? I hope so. Now, real quick, I did hear that it's possible he comes out of the bullpen. No! I don't want that. You move someone else to the bullpen. You want Spencer Howard to be in the starting rotation. That's what he is. I don't want to start playing around with him coming out of the bullpen because the bullpen's so desperate. I don't want to hear it. And I'm sure I'll get more into that conversation as the days go by and we get closer to him coming up. But no shot am I starting to fool around with him in the bullpen. Get him to where he is more comfortable, and then you move somebody else. Just because you're so desperate there, because it's that poorly constructed, you ain't gonna mess around with Spencer Howard. I'm not having it. Thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you next time.